Okay, good morning. Happy Saturday, and thank you for coming to a little bit of a different time team call. I'm glad we can still all get together this week. Um, so we have a ton of coaches on our team right now who are just like blowing it out of the water. And so I wanted them to just kind of share like things that are working for them. I think that it's so helpful to hear what other coaches are doing and like whether it be a little strategy or a big strategy, just like helpful nuggets to take with you. We can watch trainings on trainings on trainings, but if we are not paying attention to what our peers are doing, we are missing out on a big part of this business. So I asked them to each share for like 5-ish minutes, just like what they're doing. So take it away, ladies.
Good morning. Okay, so I have been a coach for 2 years, and I think I want to, share the biggest mistake I made as a new coach and kind of how I've changed that recently. I think when I first started, I was obsessed with having this like visual appeal. So I spent a lot of time on filters. I spent a lot of time on making the perfect like workout clips, and I was sacrificing inviting and making connections and doing the business building things that actually would bring people in rather than, I really wasn't focusing on inviting at all. If I'm being honest with you, it was like if it happened thing, but it was never a priority for me. And that showed. Coaching really is a numbers game. If you're only inviting 10 people a week, you're going to have a really slow growing business. And so that was the biggest mistake I made as a new coach. And so in the last 6 months or so, I would say, I don't even know that it was a conscious shift, but I shifted and I have spent a lot more time on inviting every single day, no matter what else I have going on. If inviting is the only thing I get done, then I know I'm doing business building things. And then building connections. So if you're inviting every single day, you obviously need to have people to invite. So I would say the number one piece of advice I would give to you is obviously invite every day, but also build connections every day. Even if that means only spending 5 minutes and finding one new friend, you have to be doing that every day, or else pretty soon you're going to run out of people to invite. So rather than focusing on building, the perfect filter, finding a good preset, figuring out which app to use to make like workout sample videos, excuse me, focus on just building connections. I would do that first and foremost every single day. So that way, when you do go to invite, you have those new people. And when you're making those connections, the advice I would give is don't feel like you have to force the conversation into health and fitness. 9 times out of 10, if you actually made a connection with someone and you're becoming friends, it's naturally going to come up because one or the other of you is going to say, well, what do you do for work? Or how do you spend your time? Or what are your hobbies? And as a coach, I would hope that one of your answers to that is, I'm a health and fitness coach, or I really enjoy working out, or something like that. And it's going to naturally come up in the conversation. But the other thing I would, caution you on, if it doesn't naturally go to that, like let's say you have a conversation with someone and you've talked about their family and you've talked about traveling, and then the conversation kind of fizzles out. I mean, you don't want to like force a conversation to continue for days on end. But if it does fizzle out, that's fine. Let it fizzle out. You don't need to like force an invitation in that same conversation. You can come back in a couple of days, or the next time that you notice they've watched your public invite or they've liked your post or something, you can send them a new message that says, hey, I saw that you watched my workout videos on this new program on the sample moves that I posted. Would you want to try it out with me? And then you've had a natural invite come up without having to like force the conversation into that. So building connections and then let it happen naturally, and it will be a lot less salesy. I found that when I force an invite, or when I force the conversation into health and fitness or whatever that might look like, it just sounds salesy. And I always feel like I've gotten that feeling before where I've sent a message and then read it and I'm like, oh, that felt kind of weird. I probably shouldn't have sent that. And it's usually because I forced it. So let it happen naturally. It's okay to let a conversation fizzle and then bring it back up a couple days down the road. Or give it time. Like just let that connection keep building, especially if they post regularly enough that you have things to interact with them on, like to comment on their post or respond to their stories or something like that. But yeah, my biggest piece of advice, focus on connections. The invites will come naturally. Don't feel like you have to force it, because that's when we turn into that like icky feeling of being a salesperson. So that's my 2 cents. That is my biggest piece of advice and what I think has helped me grow my business the most. And the biggest mistake I made in the beginning was not building those connections. So yeah, that's it.
I love that. And yeah, it's so true. Just like the number one thing we want to do is like make friends with people and find people who we vibe with and get along with, because if they are someone you connect with, then they're going to connect with other people in your group. And the biggest thing in this business is just building relationships, not only between yourself, but also between the girls in your group, so that they can all hold each other accountable too. So love that, Noelle. Noelle has to hop off real quick, which is totally fine. And then who wants to go next? Rach, Mo, Rachel, go. Okay.
Mine will probably not be 5 minutes because of that. So it's really been working for me right now. It's like my follow-ups have been huge, because I thought that I was hitting a brick wall, like when it came to inviting new people. I was struggling finding, I feel like the same people have been watching my stories, same ones who I've reached out to before, even the ones who, hold on, I'm gonna give him a goldfish. The same ones who I've already reached out to before, even if they like hadn't responded to like my first message, but I saw that they've read it and they're continuing to watch my stories, then I'll just reach out to them. And even the people that like last month that I invited that are like, oh, like not sure right now, like money's tight, like those people I definitely reach out to, especially because of how good the deal is right now and how much they're getting with it. And I always have, I've been telling them, like, even if they're not like super interested in coaching right now, but they're still worried about the money, I'm like, if you sign up now and you're a discount coach, you're going to get 3 promo codes that if you get 3 friends to sign up, you're going to make your initial investment back. And they're like, no way, really? And then they sign up. And then also I've been getting a ton of interaction when I post my workouts with my kids. They are not planned. They just happen. And it's very entertaining for people, apparently, especially like, because a lot of my audience are their moms and they deal with the same thing. And they have toddlers and babies. And so they ask a lot of questions.
Kids, dogs, and husbands.
Yes.
Bring them into your story, or cats. That's great.
Max like jumps and barks at me when I work out, so he's not like allowed in them, especially if the kids are in them, because it'll just be like a party. But that's basically like the main things that have been helping me since this launch started. Literally just my follow-ups and just, I guess you can say, like making my sample videos fun for people to watch. Because I feel like sometimes if it's just me and it's like the same workout or like along the same lines, people are just like, skip. But they're more likely to watch it if it's fun and exciting. That's that.
I love that so much. Yes, follow-ups are crucial to your business. In fact, we probably need to do a whole other team call on follow-ups, because it's just so important to reach out to people. And we get so scared that we sound like annoying or like we're nagging people. But the amount of people that have said to me, thank you for following up with me because I'm so glad I got started with this, far exceeds the people who maybe were annoyed. I haven't really ever even been told I'm annoying. So keep following up with people and just be normal about it, right? Like, oh, I know it's so easy to miss messages. Just wanted to check in again because we're having a really awesome deal this month. Great. That sounds great. And yes, to get interaction in your stories, like make it fun. If you're just kind of like womp womp, and you guys are really great at that, so I don't even really need to harp on that. You're all good at making your stories really fun. Okay, who's next? Mo, baby looks happy right now. Should we start with you just in case? Okay.
Let's do it. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I feel like 2 things for me have really shifted when it comes to growing my business in the past month. I think the first one is not rushing invites. I was very much in a copy and paste stage where I just needed to hit 10 invites or 15 invites a day just to like hit that quota. And it was, starting to feel salesy and obviously like ingenuine. And that's obviously not what we want to be doing as coaches. Because like you guys said, we're building relationships. So I've had to just slow down when I'm sending out invites and like personalizing them. Like if I was talking to this person face to face, like what would I initially start off with? Like, hey, how are you? Like, how is Florida? How's your new job? Like actually connecting on something completely different before talking about coaching or inviting to coaching. So that's actually really helped. And I'm like in the middle of conversations I've had with people for days now. And that's like all about connections and it's fun. Like it's actually a lot of fun to like just be continuing to talk to people throughout the day. So that's really been helping, especially kind of get that sales icky like feeling off too. And then I would say consistently like posting in your stories and in your feed. Even if people aren't like joining just because they're not responding to polls or not commenting on everything. Like I've had so many conversations with people that say no when I invite them, but they're like, but I love watching your stories, but I love following along. And like, eventually I know they're going to say yes, just because they're loving the journey. And that's exactly how I was with Callie. Like I said no to her like 3 or 4 times, but I could not stop watching her stories and I loved it. And that's what initially like made me jump in. So no matter what your day looks like, no matter how you're feeling, like share that consistently. Like do not let a day go where you don't share. And if it's a crappy day, like obviously Callie, you're going through one of the hardest seasons, I'm sure. You're still, obviously not throwing up 20 stories, but you're sharing and you're letting people in, even if it's one little thing. And that means a lot to people that are following along. So those 2 things I think have been like a really big game changer for me in the past like month or 2.
I love that. Yes, there is definitely like a time for shooting out invites that have a similar wording, but there's also a time for personalizing and just knowing like your audience and who you're talking to. So that's great. And yeah, sharing. My number one tip for sharing, I used to get so self-conscious about sharing. Like I overthink everything. So I used to get so self-conscious about like what I was posting and like, am I being in blah, 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 blah. And one day I just realized, well, I really like it when people share that on their story. Like that's what I watch. That's what I enjoy watching is like them talking or them, whatever. And so just find like what sucks you in on social media. What is it that you spend your time just like watching because you want to watch it? And then replicate that. Don't copy it, but replicate it in the sense of like, if you really like when people talk to the camera like a lot, don't be afraid to talk to the camera a lot. If you really like when people keep it short and sweet, keep it short and sweet. Just kind of like do what you like to consume because you're going to find people who are very similar to you. And it's just so much easier in this business when the people you're working with are people that you like genuinely would hang out with in real life, which is how I feel about all of you guys. So don't force it. Don't be someone you're not. Like just enjoy it. I love that, Mo. Thank you. All right. Your turn now. By the way, you look beautiful. Not even a little bit.
Thank you. Still so very sweaty, but it's fine. Did not properly plan this morning. So what's been working for me recently, I have found that when giving specifics on like what's going on, people are more like interested, like giving a specific timeline on when to sign up, specifics about like what we're offering, people will like follow up with questions. So giving specifics about like when you're starting your group, what all is involved, that's really helpful. What else has been working for me on top of everything that everyone else has already mentioned? What I'm posting in stories, I've kind of noticed that when I post like more not informational. Yeah. When I post more informational content, like what specifically the sample moves are versus something that's motivational. People are more engaging in the motivational, like little quotes or whatever, like whatever I'm going through when I'm sharing that on my stories with like my sample moves instead of sharing the sample moves specifically. People are more engaged because they want something to relate to. So they'll like follow up and say, thank you so much. I really needed to hear that today. And it just opens a genuine and honest conversation. Because people can see your move, like they know what you're doing. So I've found that posting something motivational over my story is really helpful. And then transformation photos are really critical to your business because it shows your own journey. And even if I'm not getting like 1,000 comments on my transformation photo, anyone who's liked it, who I'm like, that person might like really enjoy what I'm doing just based on them following along for however long. And so if they like it, even if they just like my transformation photo, I follow up with a quick message saying, hey, thanks so much for liking my photo. It's really encouraging to me. It's not easy sharing my journey. But having your support has just really meant a lot. And so just engaging in genuine conversation, because it's not an easy journey to share and like put yourself out there and not feel like it's being, received. So I comment and send messages to people who are liking my transformation photos. And then also when it comes to stories, I am religious in watching who is following along to the very end. And I am making a list of those names. And on a weekly basis, if there is someone who is in my stories that has watched continuously for a week, I'm reaching out to them. I'm not letting them go. I'm reaching out to them and say, hey, I've seen you're following along. Is this something that you'd be interested in? And so just engaging in that way, because if they're following along, something has piqued their interest. So that's what's been working for me. And I think longevity and patience in this business goes really far. So a lot of the people that have signed up for me this last week were people that I reached out to like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, maybe. And so don't give up on those people. They will come around eventually, and keep at it. What you're doing is working.
Yep, 1,000%. Patience is a virtue in life, but also in this business. And you're just going to see that continue, like as months pile on to months of doing this. I mean, 2 years into it, I'm still having people sign up who like I talked to 2 years ago. So that's the cool thing about this, is that everybody has like a right time. And don't take it personally, you guys. If somebody says no, never know what's going on in their life that like they can't join you that day. And so just invite them again the next month. Maybe it'll be a better time.
Yeah, and I'll say to that too, just really quickly, I want to piggyback off of that. If someone seems like they're not interested, or like they themselves have mentioned that like financially it's just not an option for them right now, I offer the 3 months. Like I don't just offer the challenge pack and be done with it. I'm like, hey, we have other options. There's a 3-month subscription for $39. And I list all of the options. So I'm not just locking them into a challenge pack, because I want to have integrity in my business, and just selling that for people is like that. Everyone has different price points. And so I offer them all.
Yeah, you guys, I was a 3-monther, and Julie and I talk about it all the time, because I never would have signed up if she told me I had to buy a challenge pack. Never, not in a million years, wouldn't have done it. And so like, don't discount people who, just want the 3-month. Success Club is awesome. And honestly, the bundles this month are such an incredible deal that for most people, it is a better financial option. But for the people that it's not, offer them the 3-month. You never know. They might fall in love with it like I did and be a lifer. So thank you guys so much for sharing those things. Does anybody have any questions, or like if anything else you want to share that's working for you? I really just want this to be like a collaborative call where we can just kind of like brainstorm together.
I'm going to be taking Rachel and Mo's follow-up advice this morning, because I have a few people that I've not followed up with in quite some time, and they're still watching. So I just need to get my script in line, because I'm a word vomiter. So any help on that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
For follow-ups, because like at this point, like a lot of them are just like monthly now. Whenever I'm about to start a new program, so like our group is going to launch MBF August 3rd, my follow-ups are literally just like, hey, I know it's like a few weeks out. I just wanted to let you know our group is starting this new program. Would love to hold a spot for you if you were interested. But like, it kind of gives them like, oh, that's like 3 weeks from now. It kind of gives them time to like think about it. And then I plan to follow up with them like right before we start and be like, last chance, are you in? So like I've been using new programs or like, you know, starting a new 6-week program or whatever, like has been really helpful because it does kind of give them like that pressure of like, oh, okay, like if everybody's doing it, I'll do it, you know, like, so that's really been helpful for me when it comes to follow-ups, like just having a key thing that you are like inviting them to, not just like, hey, you want to join now? You want to join now? Like, hey, we're launching this program on this day. You want to come? And like keeping it simple has really helped with me.
I like that a lot. I would say too, it depends on what you're following up for. So if you're following up for like people who they said it wasn't the right time, then what Mo is saying is perfect. I usually tend to say like, hey, I know last month wasn't a great month or wasn't the right time for you, or like maybe they told me something specific. I'll kind of like echo that back to them to let them know like I heard them. So I'll say like, hey, I know like last month was really busy for you. Just wanted to reach out. We're starting a new program, opening up new spots. Would love to have you join. No worries. If not, let me know if you'd like me to send you more info. So I kind of like will personalize it there too, of like if they told me something specific of why not. And then another thing is if you're following up with people who already have a link and aren't purchasing, I usually use the phrase, do you just checking in to make sure you want me to save you your spot, because that lets them know like, oh, I'm like leaving her hanging, instead of just like, you know what I mean? Like if you send a link out and they don't purchase, sometimes they don't realize that like it affects you at all. So I usually just say like, hey, just finalizing my upcoming group members, wanted to make sure that you still wanted me to save your spot. And that usually kind of triggers people to be like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, totally forgot, I'll purchase today, or like it's not going to be the right time for me, whatever. And then the last phrase that is really helpful for me is no worries if it's not the right time, but could you just let me know either way? So like I'll like send my follow-up message, and then at the end I throw in like, can you just let me know? Because that's for people who have been ghosting me. Like if somebody's just not responding to you, kind of like MIA, but they told you they wanted, either you already have sent a link or they told you they were in. Those are the people that I'll say like, let me know either way. Usually it's not the time for them. I found when people ghost you, that's just their way of not wanting to say no. I make them say no to me. So I will just make them say like, and I make it zero pressure, like absolutely no worries if it's not the time for you, but could you just let me know so that I have an idea of what's going on? So that's helpful too, just to like know where people are at. Usually people will tell you more about like, oh, so sorry, like my husband just lost his job, or oh, so sorry, we had an unexpected purchase come up this month. Like it's not going to work for me. And then you know, like they're still interested. It just genuinely is not the time for them financially. And then there's always the, hey girl, just checking in, which I definitely do if it's only been like one conversation. Alrighty. Well, if you have any more questions, let me check the chat. If you have any more questions, then drop them in our team page and we can address them there. But you guys, this launch is like, I just am so excited about it because it finally includes everything. And so like the bundle is just really setting people up for success in their health and fitness. And that's why I'm so excited. Like the program's going to be fun, but the program is only 6 weeks. This is setting them up for a year And we're starting with that program, but then we're going to do other programs and, you know, whatever else your group goes on to do. And they're still going to have access to those nutrition programs and truly understanding how to fuel their body well. So I'm just really excited about everything the bundle has to offer. If you haven't like really explored that, I urge you to, because like the nutrition programs are a game changer, but they're a little bit of a time investment. So make sure they're actually really easy to watch. They're like 2 to 5 minute videos. So you kind of get sucked into binge watching them because it's just like, oh, that was fast. I'll watch another one. And you just keep watching them. But even if you love the containers, I still recommend you like watch some of the 2B videos just to it doesn't mean you have to do it. It just gives you an idea of her style so that when you're talking to people, you might realize like, oh, they're not going to do well with, I have people who think the containers are so restricting and cannot stand them. And they do amazing with 2B. I have people who cannot follow 2B because they will eat all of the accessories and go overboard and won't actually care about what the scale says. And they still feel like icky because they're eating a lot of junk. And so some people don't like 2B because they feel like they need that like structure. And then some people love 2B because they're like, all I really want is to dip my vegetables in ranch and not get in trouble for it. But they still do well with fueling their body well. And at the end of the day, all I care is that people are fueling their body well. I don't care like what process gets them to that point. I want them to have a healthy view of nutrition, and that's so hard to get to. And both programs can get you there. It just depends on your personality, honestly. I really think that type A's tend to do better with the containers. This isn't like a box statement. Obviously, some people fall outside of these boxes. But I feel like type A people really do well with containers because they're like, tell me the rules. Just tell me what to do. And then with type B people who aren't type A would be better with 2B usually, or somebody who needs that like freedom outside of restriction. And I actually like them both. I can't say I like fit into a box. I like both of them. I think they definitely both work. They've both worked for me. I've lost weight and seen results with both programs. And I think they're both easy to follow. You just have to put the time in up front to learn how to do them. So as coaches, it is really important that we are learning about what we are providing. We are not doctors. We are not medical professionals. I never expect you guys to pretend to be a nutritionist, nor do I want you to. However, we were given tools from certified nutritionists that we can now share with others. So just kind of like take some time to really learn about those so that you can share with your customers. Because I think that if people realized what those nutrition programs were, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing deal. So I just went off on a tangent there and I didn't even mean to. Okay. So yes, this is a really great time. And the next, like, how much longer is left till the 27th? Like 2 weeks, I think. Next 2 to 3 weeks is a really great time to be signing up coaches. It's a really easy way to offer the discount because you're offering the discount, but you're also saying like, this is going to get you access. Like you can now sign up before the 27th. Update on BOD ropes for you guys. BOD ropes are back ordered. So they are separating packages. So if somebody ordered a bundle and they were not one of the ones who were able to get the BOD ropes in the beginning, they're separating them. So they're shipping them all their stuff. And then as soon as the BOD ropes come in, they're going to ship them their ropes. So they're going to get their shakes. They're going to get their everything except for the BOD ropes. The BOD ropes are set to ship on the 20th. So they will still be out, hopefully even before the 27th, for the people who signed up from here on out. And then they are doing the best they can to make sure they are like fully restocked for the customer launch. They're like really getting on top of that. So they're going to keep us posted, but as of right now, they're doing the best they can to make sure that this doesn't happen with the customer launch. They don't want them to get back ordered again. The apparently the graphs are like insane for how many people ordered MVF, like compared to previous launches. Apparently it's like literally off the charts. So I guess like, I don't know that I'm gonna let people know that, because I feel like it just gets like complicated when you start giving the scoop. But if your customers are asking, like if they get their bundle in the mail, just say like, yeah, your bod ropes will ship on the 20th. They should definitely still be here in time for our group. Yeah. Any other questions?
I'll just say, if you're following along everyone else's stories and you see like a graphic that you like, ask the person for it, so you don't have to do the homework and like make it up yourself. Like, take what someone else has already done and use it for your
If they're on
addiction.
our team.
Yeah.
If they're on our team.
Sorry. Caveat.
Yes, if you see someone from Team Title Joy sharing something, for sure, we're all like here to share with our friends. Yes. Okay, so that's that. Update for you guys on us personally. Alex and I lost our baby on Wednesday. I was in the emergency room Wednesday night. I lost a lot of blood, and then I was in the emergency room yesterday, got some fluids. My blood count is like super duper low, but like not quite critical. So because I'm not to be graphic, because I'm not losing any more blood, they think that my body can build it back up. So I'm going to the doctor Monday, going to get more blood work, make sure I'm like starting to trend upwards. I physically am not at this point. So prayers appreciated. I like am like hardly functioning right now. So, but obviously not going to be working out anytime soon. But I'm here for you guys. I literally am doing nothing. So please text me your questions because I have nothing to do. But that's kind of where we're at on a physical note. I'm just kind of taking a breather from Instagram for a couple of days. But I am here and I'm okay, really. So just hoping that physically my body catches up, which they don't think I'll have a problem with. So that is an update there. I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your Saturday. Love you girls, and I'll talk to you soon.